dependent or based upon the brain activities. So it's really important to understand how the brain functions cognitively. It also has a lot of practical implications. If you understand how your brain works, and you will take care of your brain better, and you will maintain your brain function better, and so you live a happy life, right? So those are the pragmatic concerns too. And it also has philosophical significance. First, we can understand how the brain represents, calculates the information, and how to react to the information the brain receives. So those are really important cognitive information, cognitive studies of the brain, which can not only bring interesting results to the brain study itself, neuroscience itself, and also to bear fruits in artificial intelligence, as we see from the neural networks. The neural networks really inspired by the structure of the brain, the connection of neurons, and try to imitate how the brain does the work and see how the computer can learn to do the same thing. So this is really important, not just neuroscience, but also, sees how this kind of representation, information are represented, processed, or utilized. That will help us understand a lot about how the human mind, does things, and that will tell us a lot about not just the brain science itself. It tells about language, about mental representation, about even emotions, even free will, sentient diversion. All this we can somehow at least get some help, and maybe even get some important answers from the brain studies from neurosciences. So this is really important. It's just like studying the mind itself from psychology, just like studying the AI from the computer. It's really aimed at something to understand how the mind works, just from different angles, from different perspectives. So what have we done so far? I know there's still some concerns over materialism, right? And if you still have any concern, we can talk about that. But what we have assumed, at least what Dennett would assume in his book, would be really this kind of basic assumptions. That first, materialism is true, the basic tenets, right? Certainly, which version of materialism, functionalism, identity theory, or emergentism, which one exactly the right one? It's not a settled question. It's still a lot of debates, and we don't know exactly which one right. But the basic framework of materialism is that the mind depends upon the brain, and if there's any mental differences, there must also be some physical brain differences. So that's a basic dependence research or supervenience research. And those are the basic tenets I think almost every working scientist accepts today. And certainly the Dennett's assumption, really no separate, distinct substance that is different from the body, from the brain. Really no spiritual soul in that sense.
Well, this is my confusion in the reading. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, because he does talk about hacker gods and a designer. Yeah. So that implies to me that he believes in a god.
No, that's just a metaphor, I would say.
So who's the designer?
He wrote a couple of books. He called that, as a blind watchmaker or something. Blind watchmaker, not he. He called it Darwin's idea. The designer is really nature itself. It's not God. It's just nature. Through natural selection, through human evolution, many things are seem to be designed, but really not. But in the artificial situation, I'd say you have a game, life. You do have a designer in that sense, but in the real world, many intelligent beings are created by not an intelligent designer, but rather by the blind nature.
Why wouldn't he say that? Why would he use that term?
Because it's just easy. It's also
Well,
typical.
but it's not obviously, because if Mary read that and the current understanding of designer means God,
Yeah, when we talk about design,
then without your explanation, she wouldn't.
No, you have
half
to.
most of us wouldn't understand that.
You look at context, which part he used the term designer. If he used the term designer in the game of life, we'll talk about that later, then certainly you try to design some shapes which have this and this kind of properties. And certainly we are designers. But if you are using the designer in a larger scale, let's say, when the human beings are designed, then he only uses that term metaphorically. Really, what he means by designer is really nature itself.
Well, but even at that, if what she's quoting is that he compared that to hacker gods, then it even pushes more towards the idea of a deity.
Yeah, you have to draw still if you're using a game situation, then you could say something like. But really, he's right.
It's unfortunate that we would have to decipher that instead of just using different terminology to make
His
the
writing,
concept more easy.
I read that his writing here, especially this book, he put it loose. He threw out a lot of ideas about the.
That's an understatement.
No, I read that this morning. You said loose, and I was like, "Whoa, that is loose."
He's not really, like even his early stages. He's not. He's a very famous guy, and he wrote a lot of stuff, and he just don't. What isn't as strict as it was before, and unlike many other philosophers, they focus on the topic very narrowly. Concentrate on the topic. He just, whatever interested him in that moment, he just finished forth.
Well, I applaud Mary for even getting that stuff because I didn't understand any of that.
Really?
I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't really get it where he was coming from,
So you have,
and I did it twice.
I thought it's easy to do.
I felt really obtuse. I did.
The reason I choose this book because I think it's not too philosophical. It doesn't, center around arguments and argument. Rather, it has, appeal to many people. It has a lot of stories, has a lot of colored introductions. So that's why I chose the book, and also it has a lot of ideas. It's certainly biased. You have to keep in mind that the book is biased toward his own opinion. Even though I think the opinion is somehow on the right track, but if you disagree with him, you would feel that he has a very harsh tone. Sometimes, sometimes hard to tolerate, stomach. But again, what we try to find out is truth, right? It doesn't really matter how we said it. So this is basic tenet. If you still have concerns, we can talk about that because we don't have time to talk about that later. So this is really the last time. If you still feel that the substance dualism cannot be so easily dismissed, and we can talk a little bit about that. Mary, are you, persuaded now?
Yeah, you already convinced me. I feel horrible about it, but
Yeah, you will face that situation. Yeah, do you really want to know the truth? Chris?
Well, no. I mean, I just, one of the things that I didn't share. I had just read an article. It was